We often assume that aging goes hand in hand with loneliness, that the later years of life are bound to be filled with silence and emptiness. But what if I told you that living alone isn't just unavoidable? It can actually be a profound source of joy. Stoic philosophy doesn't encourage us to chase crowds or gather shallow relationships just to fill the void within. Instead, it turns our focus inward, helping us recognize the strength found in solitude and the beauty of deep, meaningful connections. Growing old doesn't signal the end of friendship. Rather, it offers a chance to truly see which bonds hold genuine, lasting value in our lives. What I'm about to share isn't just theory or empty words, it's wisdom shaped by personal experience and reflection. Stay with me until the end, because somewhere in these words, you may just uncover the key to unlocking peace, contentment, and lasting happiness within your own heart. Number 1. How our priorities shift with age. Aging does not just change our bodies, it reshapes what truly matters. But this isn't a loss, it's a purification, a chance to shed illusions and embrace life with authenticity. Have you ever reflected on the people you once believed would walk beside you forever, only to realize they drifted away without you even noticing? This isn't betrayal or failure. It's simply the natural course of life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly." We don't have time to waste on shallow relationships or meaningless conversations. What matters now is crafting a life that brings us genuine peace. At some point, we come to understand that a quiet morning, a warm cup of tea, and a good book are worth more than 100 empty social gatherings. The noise of the world fades, making space for the depth within. We no longer feel the need to prove ourselves to anyone or hold on to relationships just to fill a void. Instead, we begin to find joy in simplicity, a walk in nature, an afternoon basking in the sunlight, a heart that has learned to accept itself. Take a moment to reflect on where your time is going. Are you holding on to relationships that have lost their meaning simply because you fear emptiness? Are you spending energy on things that no longer serve you? If so, it may be time for a change. Let go with courage. This isn't selfishness or indifference. It is an act of honoring what truly deserves a place in the time you have left. The truth is, many people don't feel empty in old age because they lack companionship. They feel empty because they have never learned to enjoy their own company. Try sitting still, listening to your thoughts, observing the world without rushing to judge it. You might come to realize that you are not truly alone. You simply haven't yet learned to befriend yourself. Allow yourself to embrace change. Do the things you've always put off. Write in a journal, paint, play an instrument, or simply sit in stillness and feel your own existence. Don't let anyone convince you that happiness is only found in the presence of others. Seneca once wrote, "If you live in harmony with nature, you will never be poor. If you live according to what others think, you will never be rich." The shift in priorities that comes with age isn't a sign of decline. It's an opportunity to live more honestly and deeply. When you release the need to chase outdated societal standards, you will discover a new kind of freedom, and in that freedom, you'll find a joy that is pure, not drawn from others, but from within yourself. True freedom arises when we no longer feel bound by external expectations. But that freedom is only complete when we are strong enough to stand alone, without relying on anyone else for validation or security. Strength isn't found in numbers, it comes from within, from our ability to be independent, self-sufficient, and at peace with ourselves. So, how do we cultivate this inner strength? Let's continue the journey of discovery. Number 2. The strength found in self-reliance. Self-reliance in old age is not a tragedy of solitude. It is a rare and precious gift, one that not everyone knows how to cherish. While many spend their days searching for companionship, clinging to relationships that inevitably fade with time, those who understand the value of independence see a different path, a path of inner strength and true freedom. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." To be truly free, we must first master ourselves, finding fulfillment not through dependence on others, but within. Yet self-mastery is not about isolation or rejecting relationships. It's about standing strong, even when no one else is around. Imagine a quiet morning. You wake up to no missed calls, no unread messages. You brew a cup of tea, open the window, and let the first rays of sunlight spill into your room. In that moment, do you feel empty? Or can you smile, knowing that each new day is an opportunity to embrace your own presence? Self-reliance allows us to stop seeking happiness from others and instead create it from life's simplest pleasures. But achieving this mindset takes practice. Independence isn't about cutting oneself off. It's about building a life we genuinely love, regardless of who is or isn't by our side. A retired man might begin an art project. A woman might learn to play the piano. An elderly person might cultivate a small garden in their backyard. When we have something meaningful to do, something that brings us joy, we no longer rely on others to fill the empty hours. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Contentment isn't about the number of friends we have, it's about how we perceive life. If we view a day without visitors as a lonely one, we will feel truly alone. But if we see it as an opportunity for peace, to read a book, to take a walk in the park and feel each step beneath us, then we will never feel empty. Self-reliance does not mean needing no one. It means not needing someone to feel whole. When we learn to enjoy our own company, our relationships become more genuine, because we no longer seek others to fill a void, but rather to share in our fullness. So ask yourself, if today you were completely alone, what would you do to make it meaningful? If you don't yet have an answer, perhaps it's time to find one, not in someone else, but within yourself. If this message has resonated with you, if it has helped you see self-reliance in a more positive light, leave a sign, perhaps a like, to let me know that this thought has reached you. And if you'd like to continue exploring simple yet powerful ways to enjoy life alone with joy and purpose, hit subscribe now. The journey to inner peace and strength begins with small steps, and I will be here to walk with you every step of the way. Number 3. Letting go of the need for social approval. When we are young, we often become consumed by how others see us. We crave recognition, admiration, and a sense of significance within social circles. But as we age, do we still need these things? Or does there come a moment of realization when we understand that social approval is nothing more than an illusion, an invisible chain that binds us to others' expectations, keeping us from truly listening to ourselves? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." Isn't that a paradox? We claim to love ourselves most, yet we allow our self-worth to be dictated by the fleeting judgments of others. The truth is, society's approval is as temporary as the wind, here one moment, gone the next. The endless chase for validation only drains us, leaving us disconnected from our own inner voice. But does letting go of social approval mean embracing loneliness? Quite the opposite. It is the gateway to true freedom. Picture a quiet morning, sipping tea by the window, listening to the soft chirping of birds, feeling a deep sense of peace within. No longer worrying about whether people remember us, no longer measuring our worth by likes or compliments, we finally begin to live. This kind of freedom isn't just about detaching from others' expectations. It's about finding joy in life's simplest moments. So, how do we stop craving approval? How do we free ourselves from the constant concern of what others think? First, ask yourself, whose approval truly matters? Is it society, with its ever-changing standards, or is it your own, the one person who must live with your choices every single day? Epictetus reminds us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. If we truly wish to grow, we must be willing to be misunderstood, even ridiculed. But does that really matter? Once we stop seeking validation from the outside world, we can finally focus on what is truly important, living according to our own values. Look at the wise elders around you. They are no longer weighed down by the opinions of others. They have no need for applause or recognition. Instead, they live simply, finding fulfillment in their quiet joys. They do what they love, reading, painting, taking walks in the park, without expecting praise or acknowledgement. And that is the greatest freedom of all. An elderly friend once shared with me, when I was younger, I was terrified of being forgotten. But now I realize the real tragedy is spending an entire life trying to please others. That thought stayed with me for a long time. Are we truly living for ourselves, or are we merely playing a role in someone else's story? If we want to experience joy while living alone in old age, we must first let go of the need for recognition. Instead of chasing approval, we should seek inner peace. Instead of worrying about being remembered, we should focus on making each day meaningful for ourselves. Because in the end, happiness isn't found in admiration. It is found in the quiet serenity of a soul that no longer needs to be seen to know its own worth. Number 4. Embracing solitude as a path to growth. Growing old is not an ending, it is a transformation. In this stage of life, we inevitably face a profound truth. Friends drift away, family dynamics shift, and the world continues moving forward without waiting for us. Loneliness can arrive like a cold wind, but if we look deeper, we see that it is also an opportunity, an invitation to grow, to rediscover ourselves, and to live with a freedom we may have never known before. Seneca once said, "A man is as unhappy as he has convinced himself he is." If we see solitude as misfortune, it will become a burden. But if we embrace it as a journey inward, a chance to cultivate wisdom and inner strength, it transforms into a source of power. People fear solitude because they do not know what to do with it. Yet the wise are never truly alone, for they have themselves as a constant companion. Consider the great minds of history. Marcus Aurelius, despite ruling an empire, spent much of his life in solitary reflection, even amidst the chaos of war and politics. Epictetus, once a slave with a crippled leg, found complete freedom within his own mind, proving that solitude does not equate to imprisonment. Even Seneca, an advisor to Emperor Nero, chose the stillness of philosophy over the storms of political ambition. These individuals understood that solitude was not a punishment, but a gateway to profound self-discovery. So how do we turn solitude from an enemy into a teacher? First, we must learn to enjoy time alone rather than fear it. The modern world has conditioned us to constant distractions, glowing screens, superficial conversations, fleeting interactions. But when we sit in silence, we realize it is not as terrifying as we once thought. Read a book that stirs your soul, write down your reflections, or simply sit on your porch and watch the sunset. These seemingly small acts open vast landscapes within the mind. Second, invest time in learning and self-improvement. You are never too old to explore something new. I once heard of a man who picked up the violin at 75, and by 80 he was playing Bach with pure joy. A woman in her 70s began painting, and her work was later displayed in a local gallery. They did not let solitude become stagnation. They transformed it into growth. And most importantly, we must shift our perspective on life. There is no need to cling to the past, to relationships that have faded, or to things beyond our control. Ask yourself, if today were your last day, would you spend it in regret and loneliness, or would you embrace it fully? Epictetus wisely said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." When we stop craving what is out of reach, we realize we already have enough. In the end, solitude is not something to escape, but something to cherish. When you sit with yourself, listen to your own thoughts, and find joy in the simplest moments, you will come to understand that you were never truly alone. After all, within you exists an entire universe, and in that universe, you are your own most faithful companion. Number 5. Enjoying your own presence without loneliness. When we stop viewing solitude as an enemy and instead welcome it as a companion, we uncover a deeper truth. Our own presence can be a source of joy and fulfillment. No crowds, no rushed conversations, just us and the present moment, forming a world that is whole in itself. You might find this idea a bit unfamiliar or difficult to grasp, but ask yourself, what truly makes us feel lonely? Is it the absence of others, or is it the emptiness within ourselves? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Men seek retreats for themselves, in the country, by the sea, in the mountains, but you yourself are not less capable of such retreat into your own soul." Why do we run from solitude when we can find peace within ourselves? Perhaps you've always believed that happiness only exists when shared with others, but in reality, true happiness can be nurtured through a deep connection with yourself. Ask yourself this: if even you don't enjoy your own company, how can you expect others to? Enjoying your own presence doesn't mean cutting yourself off from the world. It means building a strong relationship with yourself, so that when you are alone, you don't feel empty. Start by speaking to yourself as you would a true friend. Write in a journal, listen to your emotions, and ask, "How am I feeling today?" Then create meaningful personal experiences, a fragrant cup of tea, a favorite song, a peaceful walk. And don't hesitate to explore new things on your own, a fascinating class, an unfamiliar cafe, or even a simple new habit. When you truly connect with yourself, solitude stops being something to fear. It becomes a freedom to embrace. Self-sufficiency does not mean isolation. It is the ability to enjoy your own presence without feeling incomplete. When we are fulfilled from within, we no longer seek others to fill a void. Instead, we seek them to share our joy. So the next time you feel lonely, resist the urge to immediately reach out for someone to fill the space. Instead, sit down, take a deep breath, and ask yourself, can I be the friend I wish to have? If you can answer that question honestly, you've unlocked one of life's greatest secrets, the art of enjoying your own presence without feeling lonely. And now, congratulations, you've made it halfway through this journey. What are your thoughts on what we've explored so far? If you have any questions or unique perspectives, feel free to share them in the comments. I'd love to connect with you. And don't forget, every part of this video is a piece of a larger puzzle coming together to form a complete picture. Stay with me until the end, where you'll discover practical insights and solid strategies to fully embrace the freedom and joy of being with yourself. Number 6. Deep connections over a large circle. More friends, more happiness? Not necessarily. Have you ever felt lonely in the middle of a crowd, surrounded by conversations that skim the surface but never leave behind any warmth? At some point in life, we come to realize that what we truly need is not a vast social circle, but a few deep and meaningful connections. A genuine friendship holds more value than 100 superficial acquaintances. Seneca once said, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." It's not about filling the void with meaningless relationships. It's about choosing those who add value to your life. When we are young, we crave excitement, surrounding ourselves with people just to avoid feeling alone. But as we grow older, we understand that happiness does not come from having a long list of contacts. It comes from having someone who truly understands us, listens without judgment, and stands by our side when we need them the most. Ask yourself, who is always there when you truly need help? Who listens to you without criticism? Who brings you a sense of peace just by being around? If you have even one such person in your life, consider it a precious gift. True friendship is not measured by how often you meet, but by the depth of presence when it matters most. Happiness isn't in the number of people around you. It's in the quality of the relationships you nurture. So how do we build deep, meaningful connections? Invest your time in the right people. Don't waste your energy on relationships that exist only for the sake of socializing. True friendship isn't about constant presence. It's about being there at the right moment. A real friend doesn't need to see you every day, but when you need them, they will show up. Learn to truly listen. A meaningful friendship isn't just about conversations. It's about mutual understanding. Sometimes what we need is not advice, but simply someone who listens without rushing to judge. A look of empathy, a gentle touch. These can speak louder than empty words. Be sincere. Sincerity is the foundation of all lasting relationships. Don't just look for good companions. Become someone that others can trust. If you want deep connections, first be a true friend yourself. Don't be afraid to let go. Some people enter our lives like a passing breeze, and that's okay. What matters is keeping those who truly matter. Happiness isn't about having many friends. It's about having a few who... Number 7. Creating new ways to connect in later years. Let's face it, you can't hold on to old relationships forever, but you can always create new connections, intentionally, meaningfully, and with purpose. The later years of your life are not a time to withdraw, but an opportunity to connect in ways that truly align with who you are today. Think about the fleeting yet profound conversations with a stranger in the park, the camaraderie of a yoga classmate, or the deep, lasting bond formed with an online book club. Your connections no longer have to revolve around busyness or superficial social circles. Instead, choose relationships that genuinely enrich your life. You don't need a vast network of friends. Sometimes one heartfelt conversation, one meaningful presence, is enough to nourish the soul. How do we create new, fulfilling connections? 1. Start with what excites you. Ask yourself, what have I always wanted to try? Maybe it's a passion you once loved or a skill you've always wanted to refine. If you once loved painting, join an art class. If you seek strength and flexibility, try a light exercise group. If you enjoy writing, share your thoughts through a blog or an online forum. It's not about how skilled you are. It's about finding a space where you can interact with those who share your interests. 2. Take the initiative. Don't wait for others to find you. If you feel lonely, step out. Volunteer for a cause. Mentor younger individuals. Develop the habit of engaging in small conversations. Sometimes a simple hello can open doors to deeper relationships. Seneca once said, "No man is crushed by misfortune unless he has first been deceived by prosperity." Don't let loss break you. Let it fuel your desire to give kindness and reconnect with life in a new way. 3. Break free from age limitations. You're never too old to start over. Look at those who continue learning, exploring, and connecting regardless of age. They don't live in the past. They embrace the present. A new friend doesn't have to be your age. Meaningful connections can come from anyone, a neighbor, a familiar barista, or even a pen pal from across the world. 4. Make yourself matter. If you feel like you no longer matter to anyone, make yourself matter. Support a community group, mentor someone younger, or simply lend a hand to a neighbor. When you give, the most genuine and natural connections will come back to you. Of course, even after doing all this, there may still be days when you feel unseen or forgotten. But instead of letting loneliness consume you, ask yourself, what can I do today to connect with the world? It could be as simple as writing a letter to an old friend, sending a kind message on social media, or adopting a pet that will greet you with unconditional love every day. Aging is not the end of friendships. It's an opportunity to connect in a different way. Deeper, more meaningful, more authentic. Are you ready to step out and create new connections today? Number 8. Why family and community matter more than ever. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Men exist for the sake of one another. We are here to learn, to share, and to grow together." As we age, more than ever, family and community become the anchor that keeps us grounded, preventing us from drifting into meaningless loneliness. Imagine a winter morning. You wake up in a quiet house. The ticking clock reminds you that a new day has begun, but no one is waiting for you in the living room. No phone calls, no warm cup of tea shared with a friend. Independence can be a source of pride, but if we let ourselves slip into isolation, can joy still be complete? The Stoics teach us that we don't need to be surrounded by crowds, but we do need real connections with the people who matter. I once met a man who had lived alone for 20 years after his wife passed away. He was proud of his independence, proud that he never needed anybody's help. But one day, he fell in his home and lay there for hours before anyone realized. That was when he understood his so-called independence was merely a disguise for loneliness. After that, he began participating in community activities, meeting others in similar situations, and in doing so, he discovered that joy is not about how strong we appear to be. It is about allowing ourselves to connect, to receive, and to give. Family and community are not just places to turn when we are weak. They are where we continue to contribute and find meaning. If you ever feel like you are no longer needed, ask yourself, is there someone out there who could benefit from my life experience? Someone who needs advice, a story, or simply a person to listen. The young can teach us about the modern world, but we can teach them about patience, compassion, and the lessons that only time can instill. Practical ways to stay connected. 1. Be proactive. If you have children or grandchildren, don't hesitate to reach out, even if just for a brief call. If family is not nearby, find a community group, a book club, a meditation class, or even a local cafe where you can share a conversation each day. 2. Don't assume relationships must be deep to be meaningful. Sometimes a simple good morning can work wonders. A shared smile with a neighbor, a casual chat with a barista, these small moments can make a big difference. 3. Give and receive. Seneca once said, "No man can live happily who regards himself alone, who turns everything to his own advantage. Thou must live for another if thou wishest to live for thyself." True happiness does not come from living only for ourselves, but in giving to others. 4. Balance solitude with connection. Enjoying solitude does not mean cutting off relationships. It means cherishing quiet moments while still maintaining the bonds that keep us human. When old age comes, do not fear it. Embrace it as the time to cultivate the most meaningful relationships of your life. Number 9. Leaving behind a legacy of wisdom. Have you ever learned from someone? A grandfather whose old stories carried deep wisdom, a teacher whose advice reshaped the way you see life, or a wise elderly neighbor whose simple words left a profound impact? These people, even if they have long departed, have left a lasting mark on your soul. They weren't famous or powerful, yet their wisdom lives on in those they touched. And you too can do the same. A legacy isn't always something grand. It's not about wealth, titles, or fame. It can be as simple as the lessons you've gathered over a lifetime, a notebook filled with insights, a letter to your children, or even a daily habit that inspires others. Some elders write books, others pen their memoirs, while some simply choose to talk to younger generations, sharing the wisdom that the years have taught them. Leaving behind a legacy of wisdom isn't just for the great, it's for all of us. It doesn't matter who you are or what you do. If you have lived, experienced, and learned, you have something worth passing on. Does anyone care about what you have to say? Maybe you wonder, does anyone really care about what I have to say? The answer is yes. Maybe not the whole world, but if even one person finds meaning in what you leave behind, that is enough. A mother passing down life lessons to her daughter, an old man teaching a young boy how to tend a garden, an elderly woman showing a young girl how to stay calm in a chaotic world. These are all legacies. How can you share your wisdom? Write it down. Start a journal with your thoughts, memories, and life lessons. Write letters to your children or grandchildren. If you enjoy storytelling, consider writing your memoirs. Speak and share. If writing isn't for you, record your thoughts on audio or video. Share your wisdom through conversations. Every small piece of advice can leave a mark. Teach a skill, whether it's cooking, gardening, or something unique to your life. Lead by example. Wisdom isn't only shared through words, it's in how you live each day. Show kindness, patience, and resilience, and let your actions be an inspiration. You don't have to change the whole world, just one person. And if everyone leaves behind a piece of their wisdom, this world will become infinitely richer. Life isn't about what we keep for ourselves, it's about what we leave behind for others. When you are gone, what will remain? A closet full of clothes will be cleared out. A grand house will belong to someone else. But the lessons you pass on, the wisdom you share, will live forever. So don't let old age be just a time of waiting. Make it the most beautiful chapter of your life, the time when you give back the most valuable things you've learned. You are never truly alone if you know how to leave something behind for the next generation. And if you haven't started yet, now is the perfect time. Conclusion. We've just explored 9 profound insights from Stoic philosophy on how to find joy in solitude and uncover the true essence of friendship in old age. These lessons teach us that loneliness isn't an enemy. It's an opportunity to connect deeply with ourselves and those who truly matter. Growing older doesn't mean becoming isolated. Instead, it's a time to cherish, refine, and nurture the relationships that hold the most meaning. When we learn to find joy in stillness, we realize that happiness isn't measured by the number of friends we have, but by the authenticity and understanding within each small yet lasting connection. If you found this video helpful but haven't hit the like button yet, take a few seconds to show your support. I'd love to hear your thoughts and reflections, so don't hesitate to leave a comment below. And if you're not sure what to write, simply comment "Happy Alone" to let me know you've stayed with me until the very end of this journey. Don't forget to share this video with your loved ones so they too can discover peace and inspiration in life. And make sure to subscribe to the channel. There's so much more meaningful and exciting content waiting for you ahead. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.